Information Station 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above.
5 minutes after 9 o'clock, it is time for Veterans News. Hank Whittier is not in the studio. It looks like Gary Pascale is sitting in the captain's seat. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning, Larry. Good morning, veterans, and good morning, listeners. We have some a special guest with us here this morning. We have Attorney Richard Hurley, who's got a lot of good information for the veterans out there. He's a great veterans advocate, and we got Don Williams of Vets Helping Vets with us this morning. Now, unfortunately, we do have to get started a little bit on the negative side because we do have some casualties. Firefighter casualties, and we have a Department of Defense casualties. As Hank says, we always look forward to that day when, we won't have any to announce, but unfortunately today's not that day. We want to start off with firefighter Joshua Woods, who died in the line of duty on January 12th. He was with the Silver City Fire Department in Silver City, North Carolina. And we have firefighter paramedic Kenneth K. Harris, who died on January 11th. He was with the Village of Oak Park Fire Department in Oak Park, Illinois. And we have a Department of Defense casualty. We have U.S. Army Staff Sergeant Matthew Q. McClintock of Albuquerque, New Mexico, who died on January 5th in Afghanistan as a result of hostile fire. He was with the 1st Battalion, 19th Special Forces Group. Our thoughts and our prayers go out with the families of these folks.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
All right, I just want to make a couple announcements here, and then I want to give way to our guest speaker because he's got a lot of good information for you and a lot of good things to say. And we only have a half-hour show this morning, but I just want to start with the first annual Don Harrison Foundation charity fundraiser, which is going to be at Golden Ocala. It's a tennis and golf tournament, okay? The tennis tournament is going to be on March 6th for registration from 8 to 9 a.m. at the Golden Ocala Golf and Equestrian Club. Okay, and the golf tournament is going to be, the registration is going to be on March 7th, 8 to 9 a.m. also at the Golden Ocala Golf and Equestrian Club. For more information on this event and for prices and stuff, you can contact us at Vets Helping Vets, area code 352-433-2320. And also, I want to remind our listeners about the upcoming celebrity boxing benefit on April 1st. It's going to be a knockout. You got to get your tickets. You got to get there. We've got some really good local celebrities like Hank Whittier, Commissioner Kathy Bryant, Commissioner Stan McLean, Anthony James, State's Attorney Pete Brigham, Commissioner David Moore, Sheriff Blair, and some other famous folks. So get your tickets. Tickets are $10. And again, this is April 1st, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Livestock Pavilion. And for more information, I'll give you that number again to contact Vets Helping Vets, 352-433-2320. And I do have a public service announcement from Mr. Jeffrey Askew's office, who is our Marion County Veteran Service Officer. He wants you to know, especially the veterans in the south part of the county, that on January 23rd, military veterans living in that area will have a chance to meet with Veterans Benefits officers at the Bellevue Public Library. They have a wide variety of services that they offer veterans, everything from filing claims to telling you about your burial benefits and all kinds of good things. So you can contact the Veteran Service Office at the Silver Springs Boulevard location for more information, and their number is 352-671-8422. And just take a minute. We want to thank the source, WOCA, for putting us on every week and to be able to get into the ears of our veterans and our listeners out there. And the wonderful folks at Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens and Nursery who've been keeping things blooming in Ocala since 1952. They're located at 2610 Southeast 38th Street in our own beautiful Ocala. When it comes to your landscaping needs, Bob Wines has it. Everything from small plants to large trees, mulch, fertilizer, and much more. Bob Wines will deliver if you can't get there and pick it up. And when they plant trees, they guarantee them. And if you tell them you're a veteran and you heard about them on WOCA, you get a 10% discount. And you can contact them at area code 352-629-5766. Do we got a few minutes, Larry, or do we got to go?
You do. You have about 2 minutes before we go take a break.
Okay, I'd like to introduce Attorney Richard Hurley, and he's going to tell you what he's going to talk about today.
Good morning. Great to be here. I want to thank you for inviting us again.
Good to have you, and I know you come quite a ways, so thank you for coming.
No problem. Those are two great events, by the way, that you have coming up. The boxing, that should be pretty fun, and Don Harrison, what a great,
What a
great
guy,
thing you're doing. Don Harrison was a regular on this show, and every time I appeared, he was always here, and we always had great banter back and forth about the current conditions of the VA, and it was just so sad the day that he passed away.
And what a great patriot he was.
Absolutely, he was a hero. He was a hero. in
True
Vietnam.
hero.
Absolutely, shot a bunch of times and truly remarkable. But yeah, we're glad to be here. And one of the first things I want to talk about, and then after the break, I have a bunch of other things to talk about. But I've got a pet peeve, and my pet peeve is this: when I get a veteran that comes to me, and he's previously been represented by a veteran service officer or somebody else, and we analyze their case, and he says to me, "Well, I'm getting 30% or 40%." I said, "Terrific." He tells me what he's getting it for. Then I said, "Well, did you file an appeal to that?" "Well, no, I did not." Okay, and I said, "Well, why didn't you file the appeal?" "Well, I was told not to." And I said, "Well, who told you not to?" And it may have been a lawyer, or it may have been the veteran service officer, but it wasn't the VA. It was somebody else who tells the veteran, "Don't file the appeal." Well, my pet peeve is, I'm not the VA. I'm not the one who makes the decision. My job as an advocate is to take that veteran's claim as far as I can take it and let the people who make those decisions make a final decision. I had one veteran tell me that the lawyer told him, well, if you appeal, you're greedy. He was getting 70%. He hasn't worked since 1973. He's PTSD. He's getting 70%. He never filed an individual unemployability claim, which we'll get into later. And I said, well, you haven't worked since 1973. And what did the lawyer tell you? He said, well, if I seek the individual unemployability to get to 100%, which would give him permanent and total disability, I'd be acting greedy.
Oh, man.
Now, these are people giving advice to veterans. And I'm trying to tell veterans, get a second opinion. If you go in for cancer and the doctor says, I'm going to cut off your right arm, I think you'd go to another doctor and ask the doctor, do I really need to lose my right arm? Well, this is no different. When you're talking about your livelihood, when you're talking about money that's due you for your service, why would you stop on one opinion?
Rick, can I stop you right there? We're going to take a little break. We'll be right back.
Sure.
Let me invite the listeners. You want listeners to call in?
Absolutely.
All right, the number is 622-9622. If you have any questions or comments, you're welcome to call in to the Veterans Program right now. 622-WOCA. We'll be right back. This is The Source, WOCA.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. It'll be mostly cloudy Thursday with a high in the 60s to near 70. Cloudy Thursday night with some rain late, lows ranging from the mid-50s inland to the low 60s on the coast. Friday rather cloudy and becoming windy with pure rain and a thunderstorm in the morning, and a brief shower or two in the afternoon, a high 72 to 76. Saturday mostly sunny, high 72 to 76. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Here's what you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
Cats are curious, and one of the biggest mysteries to a cat is a closed door. That's why they try to scoot inside with us or stick a paw under the door to get our attention. A lot of women like tattoos on their feet and ankles, which can easily be shown off by wearing sandals or going barefoot. But since there's so little fat in those areas, be prepared to really grit your teeth while you're getting inked. Did you know the latest research tells us rude behavior can become contagious?
Intelligence for your life on the John Tesh Radio Show. Don't miss this stuff.
Career Source, Citrus, Levy, Marion brings together business and community partners, economic development leaders, and educational providers to connect employers with qualified, skilled talent and job seekers with employment and career development opportunities. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of each month at 9:30 a.m. to Career Source, Citrus, Levy, Marion, and learn how they can help you.
That was the sound of a tree falling. It could be your tree. You're going to have it trimmed, but never got around to calling Pride Tree Service. It could have fallen in a field, and now all you have to do is call Pride Tree Service, and they'll have it quickly out of the way for a great price. But don't wait until the tree falls. It may not fall in the field. It may hit your car, your house, or worse. So call Pride Tree Service today and avoid all those headaches before they happen. Pride Tree Service, 840-0750. That's 840-0750.
All right, 18 minutes after 9 o'clock. Let's return to Veterans News. Hank Whittier is not here. Gary Pascale sitting in for Hank, and Gary's guest is Rick Hurley. Rick is an attorney, and he's a great veterans advocate. If you have any questions or comments during this interview, of course, there's only 12 minutes left, but you are welcome to call in 622-9622. Rick and Gary?
Yeah, well, while we were off the air, Rick and I were discussing that a lot of people fear going in to increase their disability or make a claim to increase their disability because they fear that it'll be taken away from them or it'll be further reduced.
Gary, I've heard that many times, and what's not being explained to the veteran is that at any time, whether they're seeking an increase or not, their award, unless it's permanent and total, 100% permanent and total, can be reduced. So that when a veteran goes in for a routine exam, let's say he's got PTSD, which is where I've seen it a lot, and he's currently getting 70%, and the psychiatrist or psychologist says, well, you're getting better. Next thing you know, he's getting a letter in the mail informing him that they're proposing at a hearing, and you have to have a hearing, to reduce him from 70 to 50. At that time, in the letter, it will say, if you agree to this, you can let us know and we'll make the reduction. Or they'll say, you can have the hearing, but pending the hearing, we'll reduce your award from 70 to 50 prior to the hearing. And I've heard many lawyers, and I've gotten veterans who've told me that lawyers and veteran service officers have told them, take the reduction. Have your hearing, but take the reduction because you're gonna lose anyway. We say at Corey and Hurley, don't take the reduction. We will fight all the way. We're gonna fight the reduction. We're gonna flip it on the VA and get you 100%. And the cases that we've had, we end up utilizing the VA hearing date to reduce, which is a quicker date because obviously they're trying to take money instead of give money, and we flip it, and now we get the veteran an increase. And in the cases we've had, we've taken them from 50, 70 up to 100%.
Wow. That's amazing. Rick, you have a phone call, and if you could put your headset on, you'll be able to hear the caller. Just make sure, just to check. Can you hear me talking?
Yep.
Okay. Good morning. Thank you for calling and for waiting. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, good morning. My father, who has been deceased for some time, was 100% disabled, and he had one of those review hearings, and he was assisted by the VFW and his congressman, and he maintained his 100% disability claim. So don't be afraid of the hearing.
There you go.
Thank you very much for your call.
I guess that's the problem. A lot of people is fear.
Fear.
What are they afraid of? Just the government?
Well, I'll give you another example. A fellow I had in St. Pete, and I told you his story. It's a remarkable story because the day that I signed him up was the last day under his notice of disagreement that he could file. Otherwise, he'd be out of, he'd lose that time. So we hand-wrote the paperwork out, took it down to the VA, the post office, and we filed it, certified mail. They were also trying to reduce him on PTSD from 70 to 50. One of the things that he was afraid of, and the reason he never filed the individual unemployability, was he was getting advice from veteran service officers that if you seek an increase to 100, you may lose your 70. So he kept telling me, don't file the increase, don't file the increase, okay? Well, the long and short of it is, a year and a half later, not only did he not get a decrease, he got an increase to 100%, and he got a check for $87,000 retroactive to 2012. And if he hadn't brought that paperwork to me on the last day, he wouldn't have gotten that $87,000.
That's amazing.
So, which brings up another point to veterans. It's so important that you meet your deadlines. I can't, we say here all the time, don't be afraid to file an appeal and file that notice of disagreement. You need to preserve the date. You can always withdraw your paperwork, but you can't ever go back and say, well, I now want to file. Once you let that date go, it's gone. And unless you can find some exception, which is very rare, you're going to lose that. And that's money. All you got to do is do the math. If you're getting $1,100 and you might be eligible for $3,100, 100%, that's $2,000 a month that you could be getting. Mm-hmm. So if you don't file that and you let that go, start adding up the months, like 12 months, 2 years, 3 years. Next thing you know, you're up $60,000, $80,000. It's a lot of money.
Is everybody aware of the deadline, or are some people not even aware of their own deadlines?
Well, they will get the paperwork, the letter from the VA saying you have 1 year from the date of this letter to file the notice of disagreement. But like anything, a lot of veterans when they see VA, it's like the IRS. You see that letter and you take it and you put it up on the mantle.
Right.
And you're afraid to open it.
Right.
because you don't know what the VA is going to tell you. They've got some of these veterans living in fear, and so they don't open their mail, or when they open it, they don't read it through. They just let it go.
What kind of things other than PTSD? You talk about unemployability. You're the first one I've heard that from. That's some good information. What other conditions would constitute unemployability?
Well, it's any disability that is at 60% or greater, or if you have one disability at 40% and everything adds up. So it could be your back, it could be diabetes, it could be different disabilities depending on sleep apnea is 50%. So if you have sleep apnea,
Oh, wow.
and then other disabilities that add up to 70 or 80%, you could be eligible for unemployability.
And what about people that have issues with the limbs? Not only missing limbs, but limbs that don't function and things like that.
Absolutely. The VA is going to try to say, well, you're able to do certain types of work. Okay. But like any litigation, we get experts that come in and state why this person cannot work. This person can't stand for periods of time. They can't sit for periods of time. They may have a bowel issue, which makes them, irritable bowel syndrome, so they can't, sell merchandise on the floor for 6 or 8 hours because they're always running off to the men's room. So it could be a lot of different disabilities, and you should explore them with your representative, whether it's your lawyer or your veteran service officer, and ask them, what do you know about individual unemployability? I'm here to find out because I haven't worked in 5 years, and these are the reasons I can't work. And, find out why you should probably seek that compensation. One of the other things I wanted to bring up, every time we have a veteran, especially a new case, I always ask the veteran to write a personal statement. And it's really interesting because usually the veteran says, oh, no problem, I'll have it to you tomorrow. I'll have it to you over the weekend. 6 months goes by, and I still don't have it, and I'll be on the phone with them and talking to them, and I say, what happened? They go, this is the hardest thing I've ever had to write.
Oh, really?
Because it brings up everything that happened in the war, whether it's Vietnam. It's very emotional for a lot of these veterans. A lot of these veterans haven't even written that haven't really kind of gotten into their background since they left the service. They haven't talked to their wife or a counselor or anybody. So to get them to now put it all on paper can be very emotional, but it's very important. It's very important that the details, because the VA is going to read that. That's evidence, by the way. That's as if you're testifying to the VA, because you're swearing that everything in this statement is true and accurate. So when you're writing that statement, my law partner David and I we will edit it, and we'll make sure that whatever you're putting in there is true and accurate. And if you put in there, let's say, a battle during Vietnam, and the VA will go back and check you. They can check you through Google these days, and sure enough, when they see that, wow, you were there, that further supports your claim, because unfortunately, I think there's a feeling that a lot of veterans are trying to take something that they really shouldn't be entitled to, which isn't my philosophy. But there's a lot of people down at the VA who believe that the veteran's just trying to scam and get some cash. So when you put your statement down and you verify, maybe it's a friend of yours who was a decorated war hero, and you served with that person. Well, that person's going to be in Google. So it's very important that when you write your personal statement, that you do it as thorough as you possibly can. I just had one the other day. I just finished. It started off with one paragraph. 6 pages later, I just finished it. Because I sat the veteran down and went through every line. I said,
oh, wow.
Now tell me about this, and now tell me about this, and now tell me about this. Tell me about that firefight.
Rick, I'm sorry, I wasn't watching the clock. We've got about 30 seconds.
Oh.
Can you give your phone number?
Sure. My number is 727-612-1515, and I'm over in Citrus Hills, Lecanto area. And my law partner, David Corey, is down in Tampa, Brandon. His number is 813-662-0760. On February 1st and February 2nd, I'm going to be speaking at the Cattle Dog in Citrus Hills, Citrus County, from 8 to 11 in the morning.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So come on by. I'll, bring your VA file, your claims, and we'll sit down and we'll go through everything. It's not going to be so much of speaking as more of I'm there to assist the veteran day. So.
And we will have Mr. Hurley back.
Glad to
Thank
come
God
back.
he comes in a long way to come to see us. And for Hank Whittier, I want to say, God bless America.
God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above.
Of Hansel and Gretel, where Hansel left breadcrumbs on the trail so they could find their way back home. That's what you do when you use public Wi-Fi, or shop online, or give out your social security number at your doctor's office or the bank. You leave breadcrumbs on the trail for someone to possibly